Hey folks, thanks for coming in. And I wanted to share something with you, a question that comes up a lot. Again, really short, like the last one. Things seem to be crooked on the video, but that's okay, we'll live with it. So what I wanted to talk with you about is this. Your stories are too big. I hear it all the time, and the answer is that your stories are too big. Now what's the question? So the question is, I've got an iteration. Got an iteration here. It's 2 weeks long. We'll talk about whether 2 weeks is long enough or not long enough at another time. There's 2 weeks. And what happens is my QA people end up doing all their work down here, and they're totally overloaded. Right here at the end of the sprint, right? This is the beginning. We're getting ready for demo, which is the last day. And right here at the end, the QA people are pulling their hair out just to get this stuff tested and done. And the problem you have is your stories are too big. I stood right here and discussed this with a project team earlier in this week. Their stories were just too big. So what you have is this. You've got a story that your developer works on, and then they finish it, and they're doing unit testing and some testing as they go along, of course. But there's some QA that has to happen at the end. I'm sorry, Ken Schwaber. That's the way it is in real life, right? This is real life Agile versus, ideal Agile. Somebody else has another story that they pick up, and it takes them a while, and then this person takes their story, and it takes them a while. Now, granted, you don't want to break stuff down. People just have this tendency, we all have this tendency to not want to break stuff down so small that it's ridiculous, right? That it's so itty-bitty that it doesn't make any sense. But you should. You should really break it down very, very small. And the rule that I've used in the past is that a story should be small enough that it can be completed by one developer in one sprint. Now, I want to change that definition, and I want to say it should be completed by one developer in half a sprint or less. I might even say in a quarter of a sprint, depending on how you work on your stories. If your stories tend to be assigned to one developer, then that one developer does all the work. I would say it should be a quarter of a sprint or less. Not too much less. And here's why. This poor QA person, look at this. Okay, get rid of that. This is the bad approach. Now, we take this same story that was this long, right? It was this long. And I break it up, and I make it a quarter of a sprint. And I give it to QA here for them to do their QA testing. And then I get it back, and okay, that much work has to be tacked onto the end here. But then QA can do here. And now what they were doing, all squashed up here at the beginning, they've spread it out. And if you have a bunch of people doing this, right, spreading it out for them, they're still going to have a bunch of work down here at the end, but it's not going to be the piled up because half of it's been left out here, right? So in your sprint planning, be sure you're taking on and you're thinking through, okay, we have 3 developers, and we have 6 stories that we've broken down to nice small sizes so that they're less than 1 sprint's worth. So I want to pick a biggish one, a medium one, and a small one, or a big one and a small one to do to begin with, so that I can start the cadence of the tester, so that the tester isn't hit every 3 days and boom. We want to have a tiny little story that's going to take like a day to finish, and then the tester can start testing that. And then the next one comes in a couple days later so that the testing person gets a cadence going as well. So cadence isn't just for developers. Cadence isn't just for the release package, but cadence works for your QA people too. So your stories are too big, make them smaller.